Okay, it looks like next week might be a busy day, but to start the morning, wow, it must be like a violent news day or something. Imagine waking up and this is the first thing you see. North Korea or something like that launching missiles like across like Japan. Oh, is this preparing for like some kind of war or something like that? Doesn't even seem real in many ways. I feel like it's a movie where like the antagonist or something like that is firing like a warning shot just to scare people to say, give me $1 billion or something like that. Well, I hope it doesn't escalate. And then apparently there's like a tube bomb or something like that in the UK. Yeah, like what is it today with bombs, missiles? Everyone's just like in a violent mood or something like that. And interestingly enough, I guess news of this for some reason, like it does like related news. It talks about again how like I guess the Canadian military is trying to get like drones and all that. It made me read this one. It says Lockheed Martin unpacks foldable Outrider canister drone. Think about that for a sec, a canister drone. I guess when unfolded, it says it's only 10 centimeters wide, weighs 1.7 kilograms or 3.8 pounds, and can reach the speeds of about 58 miles per hour and has a greater endurance, like basically it lasts a lot longer. I assume this is more for things like military use, but it says it has commercial, or not commercial, consumer drone applications as well. Yeah, it makes you wonder again if that's how it's going to be, where everyone in some form is going to have a drone like that's portable. That then led to this article. It says, going to London's air show, keep drones at home. This is the London in Canada, just for clarification. What interests me is basically the regulations, I guess, because for this one specifically, again, it's about the drones, like stay at home. But it's kind of interesting reading this one little quote here. This made me try to think if whether or not things like the distance away from airports, other aircrafts, if they're really overboard for people who are just flying them for fun. And it says here, no drones are allowed within 16-kilometer radius of the airport during the air show. The drone restrictions are in place from September 21st to 25th. So you have to think about that. 16-kilometer radius. Holy cow, that's pretty wide. Like all the way probably up to like a residential building or something like that. Essentially kind of like the other points, people saying I can't even fly it in my backyard. I guess in this case, like no, within that radius. Like would you think that's overkill? 16-kilometer radius for these air shows? I've actually never been in an air show, so I don't know exactly how low they fly, but I would imagine it'd be more reasonable to say don't fly within a certain height. That would make more sense to me, as opposed to just like a flat out 16-kilometer radius. With that in mind, that made me think, who comes up with this stuff? Like, is it based on any kind of like data? This quote got me thinking too. It says, drones can be unpredictable and very dangerous if flown too close to commercial or military aircraft. Transport Canada has identified a safe distance, and we are asking and reminding drone owners and operators to be aware and comply. It makes me wonder, where are these data coming from? Like, how do they determine this? Is it from some kind of factual crash, for example, in terms of people having flyaways and all that? Speaking for myself, like my personal opinion, even for me when I attend those Transport Canada sessions, a lot of them just don't make sense. If the thing is about safety, it just doesn't seem like it's about safety at all. Or again, it makes me wonder, where did you come up with this stuff in terms of determining this is the best practical way to do something? So one of the issues that I heard about before was things like alcohol consumption. I guess just like a vehicle, you don't want to be under the influence, so they have a restriction for that. And if you guys remember before, not too long ago, when they introduced those interim laws, it was actually an incident where pilots were drinking alcohol. So it made me think, do they treat it kind of the same way in that sense? So I went to the Transport Canada site and essentially tried to find out how do they educate, I guess, pilots or crews, what are their guidelines that they have to follow when it comes to alcohol for safety. And it says here, the Canadian aviation regulations demand that air crews not drink alcohol beverages within 8 hours of flying. I'm not a air pilot or anything like that, so I don't know if air crew they mean, for example, literally the actual pilots, or for example, the staff, like people that are catering the customers. But either way, I would assume that's a general thing. They say 8 hours, no alcohol. But be safe, essentially, because you don't want to be flying the plane, you're drunk. I mean, you have passengers on the plane, that's dangerous, correct? So remember, this is all in the name of safety, correct? So when it comes to the drone flyer, I would assume it's the same thing. You know, don't consume alcohol. In terms of the flight safety, it says fitness of crew members. No person shall act as a crew member of an unmanned aerial system if the person is suffering or is likely to suffer from fatigue or is otherwise unfit to perform properly the person's duties as a crew member. And one of that is, no person shall act as a crew member of an unmanned aircraft system, A, within 12 hours after consuming an alcoholic beverage. Think about that. So unless I am mistaken, the rule is for a manned aircraft, something that could have passengers, the restriction for things like alcohol is 8 hours, but for some reason for a drone flyer, it's 12 hours. Is flying a drone more dangerous than flying a manned aircraft? Like there, in terms of coming up with rules based on things like data, how do you make sense of that? Is that based on data? Or is that just based on something like someone just threw out there? To me, it just shows kind of like a bias where it wasn't thoroughly thought out. Someone just threw it out there and says, whatever. Because I would assume if this is for the sake of safety, I would imagine a large aircraft with passengers are a lot more dangerous, correct? I mean, I remember one of the comments from the guy in the session was, there's no difference. You're in a park, it's the same type of risk for the drone to crash into an airplane if you're near an airport. Well, how about this in this case? If you assume, like just to say, the alcohol is dangerous for the drone flyer, so you have a 12-hour window, why not for the manned aircraft pilots as well? Why the bias? That would actually be kind of a funny question to bring up actually during those sessions to see how they respond to that. I can't see how they could actually, as opposed to, we'll rethink about it. Alright, now for the DJI Mavic repair fiasco. I did see that Canadrone place actually before. I was actually thinking of sending it to them, but then again, when I started the process, they said, bring it in, we'll take care of it, like DJI that is. So now there actually is no choice, it's stuck with them, and it seems like it's going to be about money or regardless. I'm thinking at this point, I'll wait a couple of days more again. If not, I'm going to reply to that email, say what's going on, and see what the official response is, or I'll probably ask for a direct line for that person they said I was supposed to talk to, although like I said, they said they were going to take it to the next step, so I'm still waiting for that in general. Although one funny thing I learned about this thing too, like this whole situation, is whether or not they're actually the same thing like commercially. Funny enough, like I was talking to someone about it and he says like they're actually pretty disorganized, like he felt anyways, like when in dealing with them as a business. And I even said like, how can they be this disorganized for $1 billion company? And his first reaction actually was, yeah, they're valued at $1 billion, but they're not actually like $1 billion company. And he was saying how, like from his view, from what he sees, like from a business point of view on the inside, he was saying they're just really disorganized in terms of things like customer service, communication. They invest all their money into the tech, which actually, you know, that makes perfect sense. They're investing probably like almost nilch in terms of customer service. That kind of falls in line with the sentiment for a lot of people where they say they have an awesome product, but when it comes to taking care of people, it's pretty horrible. Are the ducks still here? Not as many as last time again. That is kind of an interesting perspective though. Again, like for me as a consumer, when I think of things like DJI, I assume you're this $1 billion company, no one can stop you. Whereas someone, I guess, that has the business dealings with them, they say like, for example, no, they're just as disorganized. It's basically, they just have the name brand, like they could die just like that. I mean, that's kind of interesting to think about. It kind of makes me wonder, has there ever been like a multi-billion dollar company or multi-million dollar company that went under just because of the customer service when they had such a lead in the market share? Like I know there's things like BlackBerry, but I assume for the most part they died more because of tech, like they didn't stay updated to what the competitors were offering. Although their situation with me kind of reminds me in many ways, in essence, kind of like, has anyone ever seen that old clip way back when AOL was pretty much the champion of internet? Like AOL was the internet, and there was this viral video of a guy trying to cancel an account and they were just like a robot, they were talking to him. You guys should check that out, it's kind of funny. In many ways, like I said, it reminds me this is how DJI is reacting to a lot of people with the customer service. You have the market share, so who cares, just do it this way, it's all about money and all that. I mean, yeah, again, people like me are trying to help them, but who knows, at this rate, it's basically, if there's a better product out that matches the price value, I wouldn't be surprised if people go to that instead. Holy cow, where are all the ducks and the geese, huh? Did they fly south for the winter already? It's too bad I didn't have the drone too. It's actually a more ideal time to fly and shoot. There's way less people. Although the lack of birds made me want to try to think of the old archive images of all the ducks and the birds. Maybe I'll make something out of that. Alright, see you guys later.